Hello, everybody.
Hello.
If you're wondering why strawberries are on the screen, you'll find out soon. Frozen strawberries.
What happened to him?
There must
We
be a
will
key.
find out. Well, how's it going, everybody? I'm glad Blair could make it at the last minute. I invited him last night, and glad you could make it.
Yes, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, man. Good to have you on again. And we'll start off with Beard.
Certainty of death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for? Ah, not the beer!
Every time. Howdy. And look, I'm not going to put Blair on the spot, but I'll own up. There's been at least one time where I just kind of went like, it's fine, whatever. You know, it is what it is. It's utilitarian. You got to use what you got. But yeah, thank you for having me as always. Hello to Shield, Blair, and the chat. And unsurprising, this was a first watch for me. Spoiler, really enjoyed it and looking forward to getting into the story.
Cool. Who we have now? Oh, yeah. And Shieldwall.
Nice. So you guys get the cool intros. I got like a cold open.
Yeah.
Good Blair, yay.
Well, I guess Shieldwall will come back in a second.
Oh, sorry.
I do have a clip.
Oh, there he is.
Okay.
I thought Blair
Hey,
was
Shieldwall.
Yeah, I was letting Blair lament. It's great to be here. Great movie. I hadn't seen. I saw it like on TV in like the '90s or something, and I don't think I saw the whole thing though. I didn't see like the end part, but watched it yesterday, and it's a really good movie. I'm glad that we have Blair here as a Navy veteran. Maybe he can fill in some of the gaps on like, some of the culture and stuff. But yeah, I do have I mean, as a veteran myself, I have a lot to say about this movie and some of the things that like go on in it. Some things have not changed.
Yeah.
But and I don't mean that in a negative way. I just, some of the themes that we see in this movie are still relevant today. This isn't like, oh, it's an old timey kind of movie, like don't pay attention to that, kids. It's still very relevant in any kind of like leadership situation or working with lots of people, that kind of thing. So, but yeah, looking forward to get into it.
Yeah, I do have a clip I'll play for Blair.
Cool. I thought you were gonna play Porkins. I'm like, you.
Like, I can't hold it.
Exactly. That's why I was just waiting for it. No, I got the hero shot. All right.
Yeah,
all right.
that would have.
Yeah.
That's
and that was the
also-
OG. That was the O.
Yeah,
that was the OG explosion.
Ring
Yeah,
ring.
not the special effect one.
I'm already in a better mood just from that Star Wars clip being cold, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. What a palate cleanser that was.
I was with Blair. I was like, this is going to be Porkins, isn't it?
Yeah.
You never know if Jacob's going to use his powers for good. He's supposed to, but you never know.
Yeah, sometimes they get a little mischievous. So, Caine Mutiny. Here we go. Let's do this. Oh.
There we go.
There we go. Alrighty.
Hey, chat. Hey, love. Love it. And Jay and Roman.
Yeah, let's see here.
Boosh.
Oh yeah. Forgot to say hello to the chat. We got here. First up, Boosh. Strawberries. It's always the strawberries.
And strawberries. That's where I knew I had them.
Roman.
I certainly didn't do anything with the
Sup,
strawberries. They're
Logical
overrated as a
Spock?
fruit.
Yeah, I'm not much of a strawberry guy either. But strawberries. That's right. You see, yeah.
I hadn't either. Love it. That's one of my favorite parts about being a regular on Jacob's channel is I've watched a ton of movies I otherwise would never have watched because I didn't even know they existed.
Yeah, here.
That's true.
I didn't realize that, but thinking on it now, yeah. You
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I should make a cut of Porkins crashing into the Death Star and making it explode.
did. Oh, poor Porkins. What a name for that
He shouldn't have
actor.
stopped at McDonald's. You know, he shouldn't have stopped at McDonald's and he would have gotten shut down.
Yeah.
See, we had body positivity even then, you know.
Yeah, it's just
it was a
then they gave
rebellion.
him the name of Porkins.
Yeah, I know. Little too much on the nose there, buddies, but you know. Pilot fat ass would have been a little bit more.
No.
And the poor actor. This is my last little Star Wars thing before we focus on the movie we're actually going to talk about. The poor actor also couldn't fit in the one size fits all jumpsuits. So they had to split it open down the back.
Oh God. Yeah.
Oh, man.
How did he get in that movie?
That's
I mean, come on.
hilarious.
May Win. Oh, that's her first
So
role.
interesting thing about Robert Francis, he plays the new ensign, Ensign Keith. He was only in 4 movies before he died in a plane crash at the age of 25.
Oh wow.
So yeah, and they were all
Yeah.
like military
Like a-
because I guess
Like a year after
just-
this movie came out.
right. He did 4 films. They were all like this military themed because he had the look, and then he was flying a plane, his private plane, and it crashed and killed him.
I like the credits. They're very short and
Wow.
precise. It's like 500 people listed. It's like department heads only.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. No mutinies that we know of.
Yes.
I think what
So
they
you
should
start
say is
off with the-
successful mutinies.
Young
What's that?
cadets.
No successful mutinies.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Like Mr.
Right.
Squinty back there.
Yeah.
How did he pass the eye chart exam? I don't know.
All these guys bright-eyed and bushy-tailed off to do the right thing before they meet the horrors of war.
Right. For a
Mhm.
second, I thought this was the academy, but it's not. There's a Texas or a
California.
California
flag.
state flag in the back. This is
Oh,
like at some California university or something. So it's World War II, right? It's 1943 when this
Mhm.
is taking place. So all of these are new officers that are here because of the war. So normally they wouldn't need this many officers and they wouldn't get them this way. One thing about the way a draft works that's interesting is, especially in a time of war, is that normally with an all-volunteer force, you get what I would consider a average to slightly above average applicants for the most part. You'll get some really good ones, you'll get some really bad ones, but those on that bell curve end will be very small, right? So you're not going to get a whole bunch of nuclear physicists and rocket scientists and stuff, and you'll probably end up getting more, dirt bags than better people. in an all volunteer. But if you do a wide draft that's not restricted like it was in Vietnam, you know, and there were no exemptions, you're going to get the best of the best of the best and the worst of the worst of the worst in there,
Yep.
and everybody in between. So World War II was interesting in the fact that you had all of these people that would have normally been like CEOs in a company or working as scientists if they weren't actually working as scientists for part of the war. But let's say they're, you know, highly educated people from wealthy families, all that kind of stuff were mixed in there with regular, you know, working Joes and that kind of thing. So you wind up getting a lot more higher education people put into these positions of authority. But also because it's a war, they're just pumping out these new officers that have no experience, and they're just shoving them into these positions. That
90-day warrior.
right, 90-day wonders. And in the real Navy, like the regular Navy, the pre-war Navy, the professional Navy, it would take you years to reach that position that some of these people were put in.
Oh, you're
after-
Annapolis grad.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you went through a 4-year academy that was very vigorous. That doesn't mean these people were ignorant or dumb. It just means they don't have the experience. There's not enough time for it. So keep in mind that most of the officers you're going to see on the ship are of that type. They've only been in the Navy maybe since the beginning of the war, 3-4 years, maybe if you're lucky. And that's super experienced people. Doesn't mean that we're poorly trained. It's just they don't have the experience that you need, that you would just get from being in for longer. So
professional
this
naval
part
and
is
army
like-
people were very rare.
right. It did happen. There were a lot of people that did make the military or were in the military previous to that, or made a career out of it or whatever, prior to, or they had spent time in the service and went in act, and then when the war started again, they went back in.
A lot of merchant marine people and just ship captains got commissioned in the Navy.
Yes.
Brought over.
Because they were
they had-
already,
they had the experience. So, but that's
Now,
what
this-
happens
this
when you're
part
in
of
a
it
total
here-
war situation.
Yeah. This part of it just, I don't know why it just didn't fit with the movie. His relationship with his girlfriend. I don't know. It just didn't. I don't know. It just didn't.
I mean, especially her
really
giving
have
him
anything
crap
to do
over
with the rest
fact
of
that-
it.
Well, she's also giving him crap here and elsewhere about the fact that, you know, the first person he goes to after this ceremony is over to his mom. We don't, if I recall, I don't think we see a dad or any siblings. So if you're in war, of course you're gonna be trying to take care of your mom, because you're having to leave and you were probably trying to take care of her at home. And yeah, that makes sense.
Plus, she's a night sailor. She's sketchy. Anyway.
Well, right. And at a tiki club too.
She's basically Jessica Rabbit.
Yep.
She is.
So that's a pretty sleek microphone.
I like that microphone. I looked at it like, that's really cool looking for the, time.
Yep. But I do know in the 30s and 40s,
What am I getting blamed for?
style bars were really popular, like all over.
Oh yeah.
What was that, Jacob?
What am I getting blamed for in the chat here?
Oh, I think they're blaming you for your white racism stuff. Huh?
Zach's on a tirade. You know how he gets.
Yeah, we should. You should all disavow this whitewashing of history and educate yourself by watching Colin Kaepernick's video about the NFL being worse than slavery.
Look, diversity right there.
Yeah.
Right there.
Wow.
There's your diversity, Zach's.
Right.
Okay, go.
Yeah, it was kind of weird, this little part of it with the interaction with his girl and mom. Compared to the rest of it.
Buy me a drink and then we'll fight. It's like,
my position is that they added this in, well, for two reasons. One, to show like his character, I guess, and two, put something in there to maybe get women to come see the movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it's got, this, it's got May Win in it. Maybe I should go see it because it might be good. And Humphrey Bogart, maybe it's going to be like the Maltese Falcon or something, and yeah, no.
She's also in one of the other movies.
Yeah,
She's
exactly,
also in one
Jay.
of the other.
This is-
She's also in one of the other movies that this young actor was in, and she plays an Indian.
No.
Oh, well.
Hey, if John Wayne can be Genghis Khan, anything's up for grabs.
Yeah.
And, she might have been included in this because for so much of Hollywood's, even, I guess not today, they don't want to have a kind of relationship like this, but if you had a male lead, you had to have a love interest.
True.
And they would shoehorn it into basically every story they could, even if it didn't work, even if it took you out of the story, if it was the most awkward part of the story, it just had to be there.
Yeah, so it's like sci-fi and
from what I've heard, the book about this, there is a love story in the book, so
okay,
it's not like it's not in the story. It's just didn't fit well with this movie. I don't know.
And the movie's already like 2 hours long. They could have cut some of this out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I always think whenever you give me like an old movie for homework, Jacob, I'm like, that's an old movie. It's not going to have the whole modern Hollywood thing where it's like 2.5 hours long. And I don't think you've given me a movie that's under 2 hours in a long time.
Well, because they used to have an intermission, and like the cigarette lady would come around and sell like Raisinets and stuff. So, and you could go to the restroom and whatever. Look how big that crane is.
And there it is.
Compared to the other one.
Apparently his mother did more research on what ship he was going to be on than he did, because she's warned him. She's like, to take care of yourself. That ship's been in seen a lot of stuff, that and the other, which I guess maybe it had or hadn't, kind of depending on if you believe the crew. But he's going up to this ship. He's like, oh, this is a nice one. And no, this isn't yours. We're just walking over to the other side.
Yeah,
no, not that one. The one behind it.
Yeah, they moor them sometimes 3.
What is that from? There's a movie that they're like, oh, that's the ship we're on. Nope, it's that one over there. The
that's
little bitty
like
junky one.
Navy or something.
A periscope or something.
Yeah, a periscope. Yeah, something.
Yeah,
like that.
Probably.
No, not that one. That one.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's like looking around, like, yeah, look at these guys, all clean and everything.
Ship shape and sharp and modern Navy.
Now there is a difference if you're in a unit that has been deployed for a long period of time, seen a lot of stuff. Also leadership has a big factor in whether everyone's going to have it's
attitude
like that, right?
Everybody's laundry's out and beds are out and the place is turned out.
Yeah, but then again, if your ventilation isn't that great, you might want to air them out while it's outside.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they're doing a deep clean. Everything's out in the sunlight trying to get killed.
Yep. Yeah.
This is a great introduction to.
This is so great. He's like, oh, this ship is really nice. And then he sees the actual ship, and it's like, oh, that's.
And then he's so distracted, he stumbles into the arms of another guy.
Yeah.
I think his line is, "Whoa, mind the enthusiasm."
Woo!
It's not that kind of Navy.
Yeah, right. Really. Yay! Operation Petticoat without the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's his face?
Fred McMurray.
Mm-hmm.
Fred McMurray.
Yeah, playing Lieutenant Tom Kiefer.
Yeah, this was interesting. His wife when he made this, his wife had recently passed away, so he was like taking any role just to keep his mind off it.
Oh wow,
keep his mind busy.
Yeah.
it's rough. I mean, that's how you got to get through it.
There's Coburn.
And there's Lee Marvin.
Is that Lee Marvin or is it Coburn?
It's James Coburn.
Yeah,
I thought it was Lee Marvin too.
That's not him right there.
It is Lee Marvin.
I think that's him.
Coburn.
Oh yeah, he's Meatball.
And
Claude Akins is behind him.
Yeah,
I thought it was Coburn for some reason. I forgot it was Lee Marvin.
Yeah. That's right.
Hey, Lee Marvin was a Marine.
Van Heflin, he's the
in real life.
Back it up. Did you look at that guy's shirt? His T-shirt that he's carrying the tubes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all ripped up and really.
It's
like rags.
Man. Yeah. Oh no, that's his.
He's got a crop top going on there.
Is that his T-shirt ripped open, or has he just got a shirt? Yeah, he's got that cropped off.
It looks like a ripped open T-shirt.
Yeah.
It is that kind of navy then.
Wrong button. That's what I get for trying to navigate two windows at the same time.
Now I get if you're doing like a lot of hard labor, you're not going to want to wear your best uniform. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But there have to be some standards. Shorts.
Yeah, this part too is like somebody yells at him to watch his feet.
Everybody's wearing everything, and everything is just a cluttered mess.
Now I wonder if the hat color denotes like a certain kind of job or something.
I think back then they did, because they had like black, almost like dark blue caps and white caps, and
I know on an aircraft carrier, the color jersey definitely has meaning to what the crews are doing.
I guess that orange paint is like to cover up rust spots, and then they paint over it.
Right. Yes. And I like one of the guys says, I don't know why we're scraping the rust. It's the only thing keeping the water out.
That's true. Yeah, it looks less like a naval vessel than more of a cargo, like a 1930s cargo vessel, Everybody's all just dressed up like whatever.
Oh, like they're going to go look for King Kong or something?
Yeah, exactly. They got that kind of look, cargo ship. Yeah, I think Rob is right.
Yeah, he says, I believe back in the day, black covers were ordnance. But that was before my time. And Roman, I doubt it, because this movie does not take place in the 1700s.
Exactly.
No,
we need Roman monkeys to bring it up to the from the magazine.
I thought you had crew that rowed the boat too when you rammed other ships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how the captain's just in his towel handing out.
I mean, if everything he's seen since coming aboard was a shock to his system, the kind of like idealized image that he had for what he was going off to do, meeting his commanding officer in that state of undress has got to be like the biggest kick in the nuts. It's like, oh, the biggest, like, it's just this letdown.
Exactly. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, and he's so stunned by it, he even forgets to give his paperwork over.
So this guy, right, the young guy, what's his name? Keith, right? So he's expecting, he has a certain expectation when he comes on board the ship about how it's going to be. He's built it up in his head, and this is not what it is, because this ship has been in combat. The captain has figured out a way for the crew to run to his satisfaction and be effective, and it's his leadership style, which is to kind of let him walk around looking like crap. But they're getting the job done, right? And he's got his officers kind of conditioned to that. And again, like, so the captain of this ship he's been in the Navy for a while, but none of these other guys have been that long. What got me about this movie, and I'm not sure on a ship this size, I would assume that it would have a Master Chief somewhere, and you never see the guy in the whole movie. He's the one that should really be putting the clamp down on the captain and be like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" Or, you know what I mean, to the officers and the crew. He should be able to pull the captain aside and be like, "Hey, this ain't, good for morale for the men."
Right.
And you never see that in this movie ever.
There is no head NCO. It's all officer.
No, you never see the senior NCO.
Yeah.
And I want to bring it up because at least in the modern military, it is, if once you reach E9, it is extremely hard to do anything to that person for a reason. So that basically this, like, a captain of a ship is, I get it's different in the Navy. They're like an overall command, just like captain of an aircraft. The pilot of the aircraft is in command of the aircraft, no matter who is on the thing with its rank while it's flying around. They have the final say. But so I don't know how it is, but in the at least in the Air Force, if you have a commander that is doing stuff, the E9 should be able to walk in and in private say, "Hey, this ain't working. This is what, we have issues. You need to go this way, go that way." Okay, well, it should have been maybe an E7 or something.
It would have been a chief.
A chief. Like I said, I don't know how it worked. But
I mean, later on, the other guy asked, Lieutenant Commander Queeg asked if there was a morale officer. So maybe it was something that was just kind of appointed, and it's not so. He sees that as not so much morale, but keeping people in line. So maybe there could have been somebody that the captain had appointed and be like, "Hey, I trust you to come to me and say if things are kind of getting out of hand."
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
A lot of times,
been somebody to talk to him. I mean, it's these guys' jobs as well, but there should have been an enlisted member that said something to him.
I know a lot of times when they do these things, they kind of skip over the enlisted. It's always officer stuff, officer. Yeah, but in, like Shieldwall saying, in the real world, even in World War II, your head enlisted guy, your Master Chief, would have been the one running the discipline and taking the captain aside, or even all the officers aside, and telling them, how to tighten things up or stuff.
Because they're there to be that liaison between the enlisted and that. Now, there are a lot of officer stuff that goes on that they won't have anything to do with. And so there's a lot of different idiosyncrasies in the Navy as well, compared to some of the other services and how they do things. So but all I'm saying is that to me, it was apparent that that person was lacking from this story.
Yeah.
I appreciated this little kind of explanation here, kind of as a stand-in for the audience on exactly how the ship would clear minds. Because I had never given it a second thought. I just figured there was some sort of tech that they use. They basically just float these things off the side with a cable attached to just try to disconnect the minds from the chains and such.
That is a good point, Jay.
Yeah.
Good one. That maybe they didn't have enough experienced people. But I think, I don't know.
It's also war. I mean, sometimes there's like you have too much of something and not enough of another. Like a lot of your senior enlisted people probably at this point were dead or on another more important ship. Because the Navy kind of seemed like, okay, yeah, it's a minesweeper that's never swept for mines. So what are they doing? They're towing targets. And eventually, when they had a massive naval engagement, they did provide some escort for the landing craft, finally. But maybe up until this point, you having a man, especially in 43, when things are getting really serious, there probably was a shortage of people like that.
Yeah. I appreciate this little bit of, welcome to the boat. Hey, I was told you get to tour everything, so climb on up.
There you go.
Actually reminded me of an old adventure movie from back in the day that I cannot remember the name of it. But this kid joins a ship and they put him on the board that they lift up to kind of do like work on the sails and such, and they blindfold him, making them think he's going way up top is kind of like a hazing thing. And that just kind of reminded me of that, like a hazing sort of initiation.
This guy here's like, I have a wife and kids. I'll probably never see him again.
I mean, I kind of see the point. You get up there, you can see what the view looks like, what all the equipment is. You understand what it would be like to order somebody to go up there. If you see what it looks like in calm weather, imagine what it'd be like when it's raining out or something. But look at all of the antennas and radar stuff. Also, that radar had to be turned off because if they turned it on, it would squish this dude's head.
Yeah.
Like he says something along the lines of, "I think I'm going to be sick, and I don't want to use my hat. It's my only one."
Why no wuss climbs up there and just pukes? Come on, really? Oh, my God. Yeah, Roman's correct. They had such a massive expansion. People were at a especially qualified people were at a premium.
Yeah,
I do know if you go high up on a mast like that, you'll feel the ship movement more.
Oh yeah.
I believe it.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe he was getting seasick or something. And here's the officer's mess.
Oh, diversity.
More
They're there.
diversity.
Yep.
Diversity.
Okay, so let me make a point about these stewards, right? At the time, the Navy, not necessarily wasn't, the Army and the Marine Corps and stuff were segregated, but the Navy wasn't, in that people of color served on ships, but they served in
Mess.
more like mess and laundry and other things. But that's not to say that they weren't an important part of the crew. This guy wasn't just here to cook and serve meals. Whenever they went into action, this guy had a specific role, right?
Yep.
Like he would be on an in-aircraft gun loading ammo,
Important.
maybe a damage control party, something like that.
Fireman, fire, whatever. Yeah,
Right, exactly. So everybody had a critical role on the ship, and the people that maybe didn't do anything during combat was because their primary role was already a combat role. So when you went to general quarters, everybody did something. It wasn't just some guy standing around somewhere.
Yeah, when everybody else on the ship goes, into battle, it's not like they stay behind enemy lines on a little dinghy just floating out there waiting. You're going in there too. You better at least know how to stop a leak.
But every person on the crew
Got a fire.
has something to do that's important. That so it's a little bit different than maybe a cook would be in the Army. That's like behind the lines or something.
Yeah.
So the captain here brings up to Keith, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That, do you want to stay on my ship? And he tells him that he's got a letter here from an admiral or something for him to be on his staff. So he's like, do you want to be here? Do you want to go be on somebody's staff? And he's like,
yeah. Do you want a desk job or do you want to work?
He's like, I want to stay here.
That, in my opinion, should have been a conversation that he might have had with him privately in like his cabin or something. But
I think he wanted to shame him a little
right,
too.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But because he definitely put him on the spot in front of all these other people to make it be like, well, he's going to duck out on you, and basically made it impossible for him to say that he wanted to leave. You know what I mean? Especially people got to remember, back then, it's not like now where people are just like laissez-faire about everything. You didn't want to be considered a coward or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah. And this guy's always, he didn't want to be in the Navy, and he's always cracking jokes about it. And
he wants to be an author. He's writing a novel.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Roman has a good point. Yep.
That's the next captain. This one, he's at least listed in the credits as full commander.
Right, but this guy here, he's not a captain.
Captain.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Which would be like a colonel, basically.
Right.
Yeah, back then they had so many ships, you couldn't.
Right.
Not everybody could be. Now you're a so-called captain, no matter what your real rank
Right.
was.
Yes, whatever. Right, whatever is because you were in charge of the ship.
Yeah.
But especially like torpedo boats and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's an 04. So
Yeah.
Just
that's
to point out here,
that's a major in
Van
the
Hef-
Army.
Van
Heflin here. Those scars on his face are not makeup. That's not makeup. Those are actual scars on his face. He normally would
noticed
put
that.
on a bunch of makeup to cover it up. But yeah, those are real scars. He got in a car accident and put his face through the windshield. So that,
I mean, it works
thought
for,
it would
for a
add-
role in the war.
yeah, he thought it would add to the character, so he left
It definitely
uncovered.
does, because the first impression I got is this guy's seen some combat.
Yeah, he
Right.
got hurt.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
he knows what's up, like while the rest of them don't. Yeah, it's unbelievable how fast people had to learn back then. Going from just your Joe Blow on the street to in combat, doing all kinds of crazy stuff, like especially on a ship like this, all the intricacies of operating a ship, just the seamanship alone to not sink the damn thing is a huge amount of training, let alone all the operational stuff like mine sweeping and shooting guns and radar and all that stuff.
Just trying to navigate the ship would be one
with
thing.
not running aground or crashing into something else.
And then while you're in combat, especially,
and the coordination that it takes to do that.
I like this. It's like they're unidentified.
What's going on with Zach tonight?
I don't know.
Hijack his account?
Sorry, Jake. We could keep.
That's
Zach
all right.
he's
That's
distracting us.
I like this part. He's like, "They're planes, sir, unidentified planes." And he's like, "Maybe you'll be in the Navy long enough to know the difference between planes and seagulls."
But that kind of stuff happens, you got to learn from experience, and you get very eager, to prove yourself, or you're not really sure what's going on.
Mm-hmm. I think Shield, you were saying it before we went live. I really like how much like actual footage of ships out on the ocean they got.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's a real Navy ship doing real stuff. That's not a model or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of these films like that have really good ship scenes. Of the ship moving around and just doing stuff.
So these are the gear they put out to do this.
Those are the.
Go ahead.
Minesweepers.
I was going to say they're the mines. They're the chain cutters. So the mines are suspended by cables underwater. Those go underneath and cut the cables, so the mines will raise to the surface, and then they can clear them that way.
Yeah, they're running drills trying to get everything done before the other ships out there with them.
Yeah.
Friendly competition. Who can be the best? And sometimes not so friendly competition.
So one of the pieces of equipment, the rope breaks or something, so he has got Van Heflin's character has to dive in. Now this scene, they had Navy men with rifles because this is shark infested water, and Van Heflin did his own stunts. So as he was swimming out there, a shark came at him, and one of the guys shot the shark before it got to him.
I did kind of think this was a little like kind of suspect to me. I mean, would an officer maybe dive in and save that? Sure. But most likely he would have told one of these other guys to do it.
True. Yeah.
But then again, if he's the kind of officer that wouldn't ask somebody to do something he wasn't going to do himself, then. But I don't know. I felt like this was more for like the movie or something. Like, why would you dive in? They should have like poles to recover it with.
Yeah. This couldn't be the only time it's ever happened. You know,
Right.
they had to have a protocol for.
Yeah, there has to be. Yeah, exactly. Contingency.
It's a movie thing.
It makes for good movie stuff to show this guy's willing to do what it takes and whatever.
Not the most believable fall, but you know, I'll allow it.
Roman,
I saw an officer move a small box once.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes you might want to go in for a dive to cool off.
Yeah, they were in Hawaii. They're off Pearl when they filmed this.
Mm-hmm. Everybody else is out there working, and he is writing a book.
He could be off duty right now.
I know, but still, I think it was probably inserted there thematically to add to his character if he didn't really want to be there.
Yeah, he's kind of stuck up or too good for this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's crazy how they have him docked there to save space.
Yeah, I mean, you've only got so much dock space. I've even seen some aerial photos from back in the day where you'd have the dock would be like 5 or 6 ships long end to end, and there'd be 5 or 6 ships for each of those wide out from it.
Mm-hmm.
Just massive amounts.
That was one thing people don't understand is just how many ships we made back then.
Yeah, not far from where I live, the Texas ship like building some of the old, like it's near I think the Louisiana border, like down near Orange, Texas. There were massive amounts of ships coming out of there.
Mm-hmm. And they were on a assembly line. They're just cranking them out because they needed them.
Yeah, they were making. They got Liberty ships down. They could build an entire Liberty ship in like a month.
Yes.
Oh yes. In the midst of all of that was going on with, you know, jumping off to recover the equipment, he signed for like a radio transmission or whatever. Like
that's right.
An official order.
Before and said, it happened, right?
Yeah, I'll give it to the captain, and then he stuck it in his pocket, dove in the water, came in, changed his clothes, and just left it there.
He was supposed to decode it.
Yeah.
Because he was the officer of the comm officer of the day or whatever.
Man, I can see why that guy did, you know, his unfortunate short career, why he did military movies. He really did have the look of like a new guy. Like kind of, he looked the part, but also kind of fish out of water because he's got that baby face.
Yep. He looks like an ensign. He looks like a second lieutenant. You know.
But yeah, he gets a scolding, and of course the captain is kind of leaving him hanging with, you know, what if this was important? What if we were supposed to go support somebody? What if they died because we weren't there to support them? Like, really,
that's a huge. It's an F up on his part.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
He explains to him, if you did something wrong, I would be responsible.
So like he's in the reports, he's like he'd be a good officer if he would. What? I don't remember exactly what he said here. Let me play it.
Yeah, basically, it's kind of like if he'd stop having stars in his eyes and this kind of ideal look of what was supposed to happen and just do his work, he'd be okay.
Yeah. Well,
it's like a compliment and insult at the same time.
As soon as he gets over being green, you know, he'll be all right.
Yeah.
He says he'd be good if he would get over his slack way of doing things, doing his job.
Now that
When it's
indicates
pretty
to
much
me
the
that
whole boat is run like that.
the way that
Yeah.
he's reacting to this is that he wants to be career Navy. Because if he didn't care, you know, like whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Which I think he also definitely takes that as an insult because he thinks he's the only one trying to do everything
mhm.
right.
Well,
Yeah.
it's tough when you're new, right? And you don't know everything and you're overwhelmed. You got all this stuff going on. You're trying to learn. And, you know, you're going to make mistakes and sometimes you're going to make some big ones. You just got to hope that it's not something that's going to really screw something up.
So he pretty much says, "You don't like me very much. Well, you'll be happy to know this." And he hands him a note, and it's a new captain taking over.
That's
Yeah,
what
that was-
the coded
yeah.
message was,
Yeah.
is that
Yep.
this guy is
Yeah.
being replaced.
Yeah, Jay,
Yeah,
the kid has no practical experience, only book learning, has to gain wisdom without killing himself or anybody else.
Oh yeah, it was always
middle of
fun
a war.
getting a new lieutenant in. They were smart, well, you know, well trained, especially the ones from the academy. But holy crap, it was like giving an infinite gun when you put them in charge of something. You didn't know if they were going to shoot themselves, shoot you, or shoot the target. So
Yeah.
you had to really watch them to make sure that. But it was your, you know, that's what you did. That was your job, is to look out for them. You had to give them responsibility, but let them lead. But make sure that, you know, they didn't, you know, drive the bus over the cliff.
There's a lot of nice little touches, like when the commander is being relieved. You can tell his uniform is not pressed
Yes.
quite as neatly as the
Yeah.
guy who's coming in. In the meeting they're about to have, everybody's clothes are wrinkled except for his and Keith's.
Frumpy. Everybody's frumpy.
Yeah.
He's starched and pressed and
Yeah, the jackets are different too. I don't know if you noticed that. Maybe it's a newer coat or something.
Oh, yeah.
That other guy's jacket is so wrinkly, you can't tell they're the same. And plus,
Yeah.
that railing shadows over that. The pockets are identical. It's just his are not pressed down. And he also might have tailored his. I've seen people do that where they tailor, especially on like the old BDUs, battle dress uniform. They would take the pocket corners and sew them down so that you really couldn't put anything in them. But then again, unless you were in the field, you weren't supposed to anyway. You know what I mean? So a lot of people would just forgo that and have them sewed down, and they would tailor the waist in, and it was authorized to do that.
I love it.
To a point. I don't think you were supposed to sew the corners down on your pockets, but you could tailor it slightly to fit. A lot of people did that if they really cared about it.
I know in World War II, a lot of the Navy, the studio guys were in the service.
Mm-hmm.
So what they would do is they would find where the military bought the cloth, take it to the tailors on the sets, and have everything tailor-made.
Yeah.
So you'd have an officer like this outgoing captain whose career wearing an outfit kind of a little bit of frumpy-ish, and he'd see these brand new people with like snappy tailored uniforms look incredible because they just knew people, you know, and it was made exactly the way it should be, but it looked way better than what he had.
This is great. Got to get him a watch.
Right. Which, if the crew buys you something like that, that means they liked you. Well, nowadays it might be kind of like expected in whatever. But
I like the fact that he's like he doesn't want to show like, oh, this is such a touching gift. He's like, no, I can't accept this. This is blah 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 blah, and just sets it down until he's officially off the boat and not in that role anymore. It was a nice little touch. I liked it.
Oh, and he's like, "Hey, look what I found! Somebody
Oh,
left this
look,
here."
some poor sap left his watch sitting around. You know what? I think I'll take it.
And he's like, "What time is it?" And they said 1100. And he said, well, "I'm going to set it to 10:30, so it reminds me of the ship always behind."
Yes.
It's like, damn, dude, you're the captain coming off this thing. Also,
And
the fact that those guys are unshaven tells me that there are no senior NCOs on this ship,
Yeah.
or they're not doing their job. I don't know. Maybe, although you could have beards in the Navy back then.
Yeah.
I think you could. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I remember something about it, like you could have beards in the Navy until like the 70s or 80s or something.
The
they had to be a
Brits, the British, you can still have a beard in the Navy.
Yeah. It had to be like a Abe Lincoln beard or something. But
so beard, if you want to join the British Navy, you can keep your beard.
I'm not taking a chance of them saying that I've got it, because I think the main thing, even with places with units that allow that, is you have to be able to get a seal for like a gas mask or for an oxygen mask if you're like, especially if you're on a boat and have to fight fires and things like that. And I'm not touching this. This is staying. Also, this is very flammable.
From it. Also, when you get a new commander, you never know like what they're like and how things are gonna change.
Right. I took this captain as like he's I wouldn't say battle fatigue, but just wore out and needs a break. That's what
about this guy here.
Yeah, the guy going out.
Oh, the departing.
Right. Yeah.
That's why everything's so lax, and it's like he didn't care anymore, and he just needs a break. He needs to get out of there for a while.
I kind of thought that too, because one of the things is the incoming lieutenant commander, he's got on his chest, he had like 3 tour ribbons or whatever exactly they were, and the outgoing commander had 6. So not only is he higher rank, but he's been involved in more.
Well, I thought the guy coming in was higher rank.
No, the guy coming in was a lieutenant commander. You kind of get the feeling he's been in for a while, but
yeah, he came in 37.
But I mean, I also got the feeling that the outgoing Commander DeVries, must have been in longer. I don't know.
In the trial, they say he's got 8 years of sea experience. So
yeah.
Oh, bring back the days when you could casually smoke while on duty in an enclosed environment.
Yeah, especially on a ship with all kinds of like fuel and explosives and
smoking lamp is lit. The smoking lamp is lit. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And he didn't know it, but Bogey had throat cancer at this time.
Yeah.
But he didn't know it yet, right?
Right. It wasn't diagnosed until after this, but
I think Jay's got a good point. That previous captain had to deal with the influx of draftees and make it work, like you were kind of saying earlier, with people who were just kind of being thrown into the mix.
Mm-hmm.
So he's telling him now that, he's going to tighten the ship up. Everyone's going to need to keep their, uniforms straight and all that. He introduces themselves. He asks some questions, and then he asks if they have a morale officer, and they're like, no. Like this guy comes to the report, and he's
shirt's undone.
Yeah, his shirt's undone.
It's a little thing, but the way you can tell how much he focuses in on that. He's not looking at the man's face. He's looking at his shirt tails. He's like, that's a nice little touch. You know exactly what he's going to say in a minute. Right.
But I've seen it before. If somebody walked into, a commander's office, especially, a captain of a ship, that would be like going into a higher office and then looking like that. You better have a good excuse. Like, hey, I just came from out in the field and you asked me to report immediately to you and have any chance to clean up or nothing. Or I just came off a 14-hour shift and we just did an engine change. This is why I look like this. And you wanted to see me now. But this guy's like, doing office work. Why he looks like that?
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
And here's his fidget
it said
spinner.
his coping, his like stress coping mechanism, his nervous tick, or whatever we want to call it.
right. And whenever he gets this out, he starts like getting this long 1,000-yard stare,
Mhm.
coming up with all kinds of crazy stuff. Like, yeah, 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 yeah. And
I mean,
then, you know,
I can't imagine walking into like an officer's room like that, looking like that dude. Anyway, I mean, just retail things, that places that I've worked, you walk into and see like a district manager and your shirt's untucked, they're going to have words with you right then and there.
right.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah. So with the instructions that he gives, he's not, you don't even see him as crazy now. This is just, he's going to tighten
Right.
stuff up. This is the way he is. He's by the book. He wants to run a tight ship. You're going to be the best. And sometimes you have to really enforce standards and be a little tough to get to that level. But if it's done right, you can really get your crew and your people like wound up tight, and then everybody is actually more happy than when things are just kind of looking like crap, because you got pride in the ship and pride in yourself.
Well, and as we've followed our, I guess we'll call him the hero character, Keith, onto that ship, we were basically introduced to the entire crew as misfits that aren't what they should be. So right now it looks like the new captain is doing exactly what he should do.
Well, but here's the thing about the crew, right? Is with the cutter part, that thing fell off and they were a little behind the other ship. They weren't that good, but so far it's not a litany of screw ups. Like the crew is
but
incompetent.
I think it's portrayed to the audience purely on their appearance, because we have, like, I think most people have an idea of what, you know, when the ship's in port and, you know, you get a new officer or whatever, how everybody should look. Now, if they're out deployed at sea and they're having to survive, that's a totally different thing. But I think it was intentionally displayed as ragtag as it was, to kind of throw us off, that when the new captain started trying to get everything in order, it just seemed right, and we'd be caught by surprise later.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying, because I've gone to new units and I went into our ejection seat shop and I was like, what in the F is going on here? It was a mess.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a little, and that was a little crazy, but I've had those moments.
This is an interesting little thing, because I'd never really thought about how they would, because they're towing a target so that other ships can, you know, practice. But that kind of rack they've got lined up so they can tell the degrees and radio adjustments and things to them.
Yep.
That was cool.
Yeah.
I'd never really thought about that. I mean, I knew they had to have something mechanical.
It was just a rod with like little pins in it or something, little posts sticking up. Wasn't very high tech.
Yeah, that right there.
I mean, that loop he's looking through is literally made out of twisted wire.
Yeah.
But then again, that just goes to show you don't need like all kinds of complicated gear.
They probably made it in the machine shop, dude.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everything. Exactly.
I mean, very analog.
It was what you had on hand and pencil and paper. I mean, you had to do the math yourself, some things.
And Jacob's 100% true. A ship would have a shop on it to make, a welding shop, and do metal work and stuff like that, because you're going to need it. Yeah, machine shop, that kind of stuff. Probably even like a carpenter thing with some wooden stuff.
He catches a guy with a shirt untucked, even though he has heat rash.
Oh, that guy's nickname is horrible. And I don't mean his nickname is descriptively horrible. It is actually.
But now, if he had heat rash, he should have had like a chit from sick bay saying,
exactly,
not to.
Right, he should have had a medical waiver.
And then had it on him so he could pull it out. Because people would have that too, like a no shaving chit or footwear chit, You just had to keep your paperwork on you to show that you were authorized to do.
So what's important about this scene is he has just given the ship an order to turn a certain degree, and
Oh, yeah, he basically says like full right rudder. It's like they're not. It's not a large turn. They're going all out.
so then he sees this guy because this guy came to report to him or something, and now he's chewing him out and asking all these questions while he's distracted. Then the helmsman says, "Hey, sir, we're kind of going, in this direction," and he's like, "Don't interrupt me again."
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So that's when these guys are like, "Okay, whatever," and they just keep going, and it winds up cutting the towing cable,
And they were like, "Are we gonna tell him?" Nope.
which is what they should have done, was been more forceful.
Yeah, they should have interrupted him
like,
and got up
hey,
in his face.
And also, if they're getting ready to hit that thing, they should have been hitting some kind of collision warning or something. Somebody should have been on a lookout and been like, "Hey, we're about to hit this thing."
Yeah, there should have been a lookout come up screaming.
That is, that needs to be brought to an officer's attention.
Yeah.
Well, I also can't imagine that you would want to risk tangling anything up in the propeller.
Oh yeah, that could. Yep.
Because you might cut through clean, but you might bring something with you.
Also, look at the side of this thing. If it would have hit the side, I doubt it would have penetrated, but who knows?
Yeah, it would have been nasty. Yeah, he's trying to focus on the little tiny details.
What are you doing? You told me to turn right.
No, I didn't. And the next thing that happens is he screws up. He knows he screws up. What does he do? 100% lies and says, "Well, we can't be at fault. It broke.
Yeah,
you can't blame us.
People was defective.
Yeah,
we didn't actually do this."
After he just chewed out his subordinates for not following his orders to the letter and holding them to account, he just suddenly turns a 180 and like, nope, not our fault.
And when you do this and you make it my way or the highway unconditionally, it sets a precedent that nobody wants to bring it up.
Exactly.
Which is, causes problems. I mean, look at
you don't have to be in the military to come across leadership like that.
Right, exactly. I mean, look at Normandy. The tanks didn't go to the beach because no one wanted to wake Hitler up because he took a sleeping pill, and they were afraid to wake him up to get his permission. Yep. But they couldn't move the tanks without his direct, explicit permission. Yep. So because no one wanted to go wake him up, that caused that to happen. Same with this, because nobody wanted to speak up to
nobody. Nobody wanted to get sent to the Western Front.
Exactly. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying is somebody. Now these guys didn't know. They weren't paying attention. They were busy. They were entangled in whatever he was doing. But those guys in the con guy, somebody in there should have said something.
And those two guys, what they're seeing now is it's him lying about what happened. Like, send this message, but not only that, he's not going to recover it because he doesn't want to be the last one back to port.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're going to send a tug out there, waste a bunch more fuel and somebody else's time because he doesn't want to look bad.
Now, a lot of people would say, well, he's got PTSD and it's making him this way. And that does happen when people in higher leadership get under stress, a lot of stress. What you'll notice is they'll start reverting to being a junior officer. Well, they're concerned themselves with some basic stuff. Like, there's in the 6 Day War, the Egyptian general, when the whole front was collapsing and the Israelis were crossing the Sinai and beating the crap out of them, he got so broken down mentally that he was focused on targeting a battery of 4 guns to do something. That was what his major concern was. So he reverted back to being like a lieutenant or whatever.
Right.
And sometimes, so you'll see that, or people will do that. They'll start focusing on simpler things than the bigger problem at hand. The problem with this is then he comes up with this lie and doesn't want to go back and get the equipment because he doesn't want to be the last one in. I don't know if you can really attribute that to PTSD.
Right.
But also I think he might have some of these proclivities already built into his personality to be this way. And that being under the extreme stress, right, caused him to kind of make these decisions like, I just don't want to deal with this crap. right? So he's just like, let's go, and we'll just say that the cable was. Well, he wants to say that, and he's just going to tell them what the reality is. Of hey, the cable was defective. That's what we're saying. Anybody says different, then you're not cool with me.
This little Yosemite vacation trip kind of comes out of nowhere in the story.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they get recalled to San Francisco, and after sending that message, and everybody thinks it's because he's in trouble. But they've got a few days to. I mean, it's got to be more than a few days because he traveled all the way.
I think you got like a 7-day furlough or something. But
of course, he had to introduce her awkwardly to his mom, and then his mom's like, "Don't do anything bad."
The thing about
I love this.
Right, that I liked is the area. It looked beautiful.
I've been there, and it doesn't look like that now. There's like parking lots and stuff like that, but now that's like really beautiful back then.
So the hotel that they're staying at looks amazing. Like,
yep, I've seen the hotel.
Colors, yeah.
This effect, I assume, is a real thing, but it definitely looks like somebody's just up there with a grinder. Like, it looks like they couldn't get a shot at the right time, so they just sent somebody up there to like throw sparks off.
It's a bonfire that they're shoving over.
Oh, is that what
okay.
it is? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they don't do that.
They put some kind of bark in the bonfire and slowly push it over the edge.
Yeah.
Which they stopped doing it in 68, I think.
Yeah,
probably because
I
they
read
burned the whole damn place down.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. It's like a nice throwback to what they used to do back in those times,
Yeah.
See, I thought it was supposed to be like some like waterfall or something that was catching the sunlight that's otherwise completely down below the horizon, but you can still get the orange.
I knew it was.
That makes a lot more sense with the fire.
Yeah.
Because it definitely didn't look like water to me, but that's the only thing I could figure.
Yep, they call it the firefall.
Yeah, look at that grass. Look how green that is.
Gotta love the awkward day for night shots.
Yeah.
Look at this. Look at this.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
This looks like something that like would be a painting or on a postcard.
Yep.
Yeah, it's beautiful there, but not quite. Doesn't quite look like that anymore.
Can you imagine being the first person to walk into that valley and see that without any tourists or
I know.
Parking lots?
Well, that's why Roosevelt made it into a park. Took him there, and he was like, "Wow, this needs to be protected." But yeah, just this building. Look at that. It's like a log cabin thing. Look at that view. Holy crap! She's looking pretty good too. Nice
view.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so he wants to. They make it out like he got her pregnant or something.
Oh,
I mean, that's what
is that what you took? Like they kind of hooked up the night before or something?
I thought they did hook up.
Did they?
And he's being kind of weird about it the next day.
Well,
that's kind of what I thought, but not
they
necessarily
kind of bent
pregnant.
the rules a little bit in the wartime area because literally you never know. You know what I mean? Like they might have had their chance and they didn't do it, and then he dies or something.
Yeah,
So
see, this is the big risk. The first kind of like big trip you take with your boyfriend or girlfriend, you never know how it's going to go. It's the make or break. And this one broke.
She's always like, you don't like me, and running away and stuff. You should have dumped her. He can do better.
Yeah. I mean, you saw her smile. It might be hard to say no.
Yeah.
This is great. If you'd been 30 seconds later, you'd be AWOL.
Well, it's called UA now. But
yeah.
Unauthorized. AWOL is what the Army has.
And the captain's like,
Jay.
I'm not highlighting that one, Jay. I'm sure I should highlight that one either, Roman. I don't know what you mean exactly by that.
Yeah, they get back and much to their surprise, he's still the captain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Keith is extra surprised because he was literally about 30 seconds from being left.
Yeah.
Well, he did. He was because he got called back early from Yosemite.
Yeah,
Is why.
Right.
he barely made it. He was a little too far away.
Yep. Especially back then. Nowadays with cell phones and stuff, they're obnoxious about that. If they can't get accountability in 10 minutes, they flip out. Why are you answering your phone?
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you realize
was
before
like-
cell phones, you might not be able to get a hold of me for like 2 days
Yeah.
if I was out doing something.
We had a policy: you couldn't be more than 30 miles away from the base, unless you had special permission.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah. If
But yeah,
if you were more than 6 hours away, you had to be on leave. Like on a
Yeah.
weekend or something.
Ours
So on a
was
weekend,
even-
you couldn't go more than 6 hours in a 6-hour radius.
yeah, I think we were even less than that.
Yeah.
So I
But-
forget the exact reason that they ended up getting called back to San Francisco, but he straight up calls them out on like, "You guys thought I was going to get kicked off, didn't you?"
Well, they got a
Nope.
new radar because they're going to go into combat now.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't have did that, Roman. As many times as I got called in and the hours I worked, I would have just slept at the office. It was too far away. I lived like 5 minutes from my office, and I had to.
I live 20 miles, and I live kind of out.
Yeah.
I live between. I live in Laurel, Maryland, between Baltimore and Washington D.C.
Mm.
And I think we're like some of the furthest ones out. Everybody else was a little bit closer to the base, right?
I always lived on base because it was an option. So I didn't have to worry about buying a place to try to sell it later or rent.
Hey,
Whatever.
Invasion Force area, Jacob.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my invasion area.
Yeah, that's what the raccoons have. Is they have
Yeah,
Invasion Force,
exactly.
Jacob.
Yes.
Jake has brought in some big guns to clear out the coons now. We're not messing around.
This is kind of a weird thing that you don't get this a lot with, and I understand why they did it in the story, because like the invasion wasn't really key to the story. There's just that one moment that comes into play later, but usually when you're dealing with World War II stories, this is when like the big climactic battle happens.
Well,
they're
this
just kinda
is
like,
in
hey, you're going to escort, an invasion fleet of landing craft, and
Mhm.
the
this
end.
is in 1944. So at some point, I was like, "Wait, did they sail all the way to Normandy?" But it's not. It's in the Pacific, and
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but this is 44, so it's not Iwo Jima because that was 45.
Tarawa or some other.
Yeah, Tario or Peleliu or someplace like that.
Coral Sea already happened, I think they mentioned.
Yeah,
so,
they did. It did. That's where a lot of these guys saw action at.
Yeah.
It's really
right.
good that the anti-flash cream is white, because otherwise these guys would be in
Yeah.
trouble.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back
I had to look it up.
then,
It was basically just old sunscreen. It's zinc oxide.
yeah,
But,
there might have
yeah.
been there might have also been some radium in there too.
Oh God. Yeah.
They were
That
putting
Makes your
that in.
skin glow.
Everything
Yeah.
see at night.
But the anti-flash cream is so that if there's an explosion, it doesn't burn your face. Because they
Right.
wore like this.
Again, muzzle
What they're supposed
flashes.
to wear is these sleeve things that are made out of anti-flammable material, a balaclava that goes over your face, right
Mhm.
around your head.
Yeah.
Tucks in your shirt, and
Well,
you
look
got-
at the flash on the thing. If you're
Yeah.
standing anywhere near it, you're gonna
Yeah.
feel it.
right,
And then over and over and over. Yeah.
yeah, yep.
Zinc oxide in you. Yeah, the Navy training films.
It's crazy to watch some of these old. Like you can go on YouTube and just watch old training films from the World War II.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Charles Bronson used to star in some of them
Yeah.
when he was back in the war.
look at this. This is how you got in your landing craft. You just fall down and die, drowned, because you've got all
Yeah.
that stuff on. The ship's moving. That's moving. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Man,
Maybe the very first time you can get in it and then they lower it into the water, but once you go back to like get more people.
yeah. Then you have to do it in reverse when you're getting people back to the ship.
hmm Now, I didn't quite understand this part. Like, they're leading them, right? But are they like to tell them where to go, or
I
think
think they were
them-
supposed to provide like escort in
Cover,
case
yeah.
something else came up. So I don't think they were supposed to be in front, because that's the kind of power struggle we see here. Is they're getting too close to them, so we need to back off a little bit. No, we don't need to. We need to charge ahead and lead. But I think the orders were they were just kind of supposed to provide escort cover up until like was 1,000 meters from the beach.
Yeah,
Right.
1,000 yards or something. Yeah, because they're like racing forward, like, no, we're pulling too far ahead. Slow down. Let 'em
well,
catch
that's
up.
because the captain wanted to get it over with as fast as possible, and he started getting scared that
Yeah,
they were going to take a hit, so he didn't want to go slow because then it makes him an easy target.
but then leaving all the people behind, so that kind of
Right,
defeats the whole
right.
purpose for them being there.
And these guys
They
are
are-
using these little things on the side to like gauge how far they are from their and the point where they need to be.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah,
you
he
can
also-
you
the
can pretty much
captain-
always. Sorry, go ahead, Jacob.
The captain also is not in the directing what to do in the control room. He's like in one of the wings off
outside.
from the
Yeah,
like. It's like he's afraid
Again-
it's going to get hit or something.
Well, again, he's kind of micromanaging. He's not focusing on the main task at hand.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, they're supposed to be kind of like being the shell magnet for the landing craft, so that because they could take probably a few hits versus one of the landing craft gets hit, it's game over for everybody in that craft. They're all dead.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, he kind of messes it, makes a dog's breakfast of it.
Yep.
Okay, throw the die. We're getting out of here. No, we got like 15,000 feet to go, or
Right.
some,
Yeah,
they're nowhere near.
They had another 1,500 yards to go, and he's
Yeah,
like, "Nah, just throw some yellow dye, and they'll know where to go." Which kind of, I don't know, didn't make any sense to me. Like,
I think they
They
kind of
should
knew where
go
to go, right?
yeah,
I
what's
think the
dye?
yellow dye was to communicate to them you're on your own now.
Yeah, that was my understanding. It's like, we're done.
Okay.
You're close enough. Boom, we're peeling off.
Which I mean, I would assume you'd figure that out if the ship just started turning off and
Yeah,
leaving you. But
Or the ship just peed in the water, man.
yeah, really.
it is convenient that it is yellow colored for later.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most
Gonna
sea
be
dye I've seen
purple.
is green,
Yeah.
but that might be an aviation thing. I don't know. I know that that's part of the pilot survival gear and like life rafts and stuff that come with sea dye. So what you do is when you hit the water and you deploy the raft, you can put sea dye out, so it makes this giant like streak
Mm.
behind
Yeah,
you,
so-
and then the airplane can easily identify you then during the day.
Now the attitude of the crew is getting low because they're starting to like make bad songs about the captain. And this is definitely where a chief would come in and be like, knock that shit off.
Right.
Yeah.
Because this is not a
Yeah.
good morale.
And this
You
is
don't do that.
this is the officers too.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
that is definitely bad. It'd be different if like
And we've got the
young
morale
crew members-
officer here.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad, but you can kind of understand their turn on this. I mean, I'm assuming there's parts that we haven't seen. Maybe more the book goes more into it, but it definitely would hurt morale to see your captain abandon
Cut and
fellow
run like
sailors
that.
you were supposed to protect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one thing to think it. It's the other thing is talking out loud. That's where the problem is.
Yeah.
You keep that to yourself. And then this is a big thing that came up later in the trial.
This is a
Where-
good scene.
He's kind of like, he knows he messed up. And in his weird way, he's trying to ask for help. But nobody steps up. They all just don't want to have anything to do with it.
This
Yeah.
was their
and if
opportunity.
they had been, If they had been supportive of the captain, it would have made him a better captain,
Yeah, they could have
even
spoke
though
to
he
him.
has the whatever problem.
Yeah, exactly, Rome. That's a private conversation thing, not like a everybody involved. But
Right.
here, they fail him just as much as he failed them.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
their job to go to him and say, "Look, we should have done this. We should do this." And they nobody says nothing. They hang him out to dry.
Yeah,
So,
this is at least to me, it's
Exactly.
unclear exactly how much time has passed that they've had to work under his command. So I kind of got the feeling that they've been beaten down with the absolute my way or the highway kind of mentality. And
yeah,
if you deal with that for so long, even provided the opportunity that should be the right time to speak up, even when that leader is asking you for advice, I can see why some people might be hesitant to do so, might be afraid to do so. There might be not enough trust there to think it's not a trap to then you get called out for it.
yeah. This is no longer a functioning ship. This is just people going through emotions,
Right.
But that would have
which
been
is
the time to tell him, hey,
Right.
exactly.
some issues that we got, especially this guy here, Van Johnson, should have done it.
Exactly,
Yeah, 'cause-
Roman.
So this guy's like, he's
Because
crazy.
he's the XO, right? So like Roman said, that's where he should have stepped up. Or
Yeah,
you would think the most by the books person in that room, other than the captain, would be the new guy, Keith. You would think maybe he would have stepped up and said something. But apparently, I mean, we saw him join in with the sing along. So that's why I kind of got the feeling that it's been a little bit of time, because you wouldn't expect him to kind of join in with that kind of mentality with these other guys, at least not from what we've seen at the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
And Jay makes a good point too. They've kind of like, these are not career officers. These are like civilians have come in, like Shieldwall is saying. These are like other disciplines have come in because they have education. They're put in officer roles. They wouldn't necessarily maybe know or have been or gotten enough of a military education to know this is the point where we step up and okay, offer suggestions to the captain.
Right.
So the guy drinking coffee is like saying he's crazy and we need all this, and then Van Heflin says, if I hear more talk out of that, I swear on this Bible, I will go to the captain with it. Which is what he should do. That's right. You
But then that other guy pulls out a different book. It's like, hey, do you know about this regulation?
Yeah.
But yeah, this is where the conspiracy starts.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an actual conspiracy.
Yep. This guy's undermining the authority by spreading rumors and casting,
But he's planted the seed of
accusation.
doubt. So now the
Yep.
XO is doing research and he's like, okay, I at least need to start documenting things. And you know what? That might not necessarily be a bad idea in some instances to document stuff that might need to be reported. But I mean, they go pretty deep in this guy is crazy and here's why, not just like we think these are suspect decisions.
No,
Roman.
No, none of them have a legal background as far as we know.
No, they're all
just like I went to college and
I went to Princeton
Princeton.
I'm a writer.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I got an English degree. Don't trust those people.
That being said, right, the captain does start to display some suspect, logic.
He's cracked. He's definitely cracked. You can tell.
Like again, he's got the little ball thing. He's got his fidget spinners, and he's got that look in his 1,000-yard stare, where he's thinking now of every way that people are out to get him.
Yeah.
Screw him over. Oh, you purposely didn't tell me we were having a Western, even though he just told the guy running the projector if he sees another Western movie, it's him. So.
Yeah, he's contradicting himself, and
it is very hard to work for somebody if you never know kind of like what they're like. It takes time to get to know people and what their proclivities are and how they operate and things like that. But once you do, as long as they're not erratic with it, then you can manage it. But if they're erratic, they say one thing and then do
Hey,
another,
Sassy.
and then you have an expectation of, okay, they've already acted this way about something, like he doesn't like Westerns. He doesn't want me to tell him about it. And he's like, why didn't you tell me we're having a movie tonight? That was a Western. And now there's no movies for a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
like he goes crazy here too. They're not putting on their gear, and
see, and the problem here is that
it's weird.
He's pointing out that they're actually not doing it. But
yeah, but he told them, you better get your gear on or you're going to be, in trouble. And he didn't even give them time to get their gear on. He just goes out, oh, that guy.
And it's funny because he's pointing it out and the guy doesn't see it because when he looks, they got their gear on.
Yes.
But he's
so
seeing
it's actually making him look more crazy. So now Keith is
right. Even though he's in the correct. These guys are
right.
going around without their stuff on.
Yeah.
Yep.
But he's already, because of his erratic behavior, he's broken the trust with the crew. They don't know what to think now.
And like Roman says, now is a good time to actually start documenting this behavior.
So I don't know Morse code, but I'm curious what that ship in the distance is actually signaling. And I know this is a set. They're not actually out on the ocean right now, but there's a ship in the back on the left that is blinking, not in a regular fashion. So I think they're either trying to mimic Morse code, but I also kind of think probably somebody decided that it was going to say something and just leave it in there. You can see if anybody caught it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I didn't look that up beforehand.
Yeah.
So it's like 1 o'clock.
Zax is not in the chat anymore, and he's missing the diversity.
I know.
Yeah.
Wow.
We went too long without it. He couldn't handle it anymore. Yeah.
It was just too white for him. He had to leave. Yeah, whatever.
It's like,
So here we go.
It's like 1 in the It's 1 in the morning, and he's like, the captain wants all the officers in the wardroom.
Yeah, we have strawberries. Tell Yellow Street to F off.
So what happened is another ship gifted them a gallon of frozen strawberries. So they're not dehydrated strawberries; they're frozen. So that means they still have like all the goop in it and stuff. And now, this gallon is not for the whole ship; it's only for the officers. So, because no way a gallon would go with 200 people or whatever. That would be to get a strawberry out of it. But they had ice cream and strawberries, which, oddly enough, a lot of these ships had their own ice cream making equipment.
Yes.
It was very popular for morale.
Ice cream is a big morale booster.
I've actually heard that the ice cream machine quality is how you determine whether a ship is going to be a good tour to be on or not.
Yeah, I watched a video. I watched a video of a guy going over the history of ice cream in the military. And during World War II, it was a big deal getting ice cream to the soldiers.
Yes, getting it to the front. Yeah, especially, That was one thing that was
one reason
for the most part about serving on a ship is the food was usually better than what you got.
Yes, I was going to say that. Navy messes were much better than Army.
Yeah. One reason being that they just outlawed. They had just recently outlawed alcohol on ships. So they replaced
grog rations,
their ice cream with alcohol.
Well, Roman, what were you doing all those years then? That's the question.
He was busy yelling.
Probably.
Yep, they ate it all before you got to it, man.
Anyway, so
what happens is
this is 1 a.m. So everybody thinks the captain is asleep, so they can finally relax a little bit. But somehow, I guess he went in for seconds for the ice cream.
He wanted more strawberries with his ice cream. He called the steward and said, "Can you bring me another bowl of ice cream with some strawberries on it?" And then they bring in the ice cream, but no strawberries because the strawberries are all gone. So he comes down and he's like, "We're gonna figure out there's no way that we all." And all these officers ate this whole gallon. There had to be some left. So he gets a gallon can, from the steward and they put sand in it. I don't know where they got sand from, probably firefighting equipment or something.
Yeah.
And he's got the ladle that they used to actually dole out the servings. And he's like, all right, how many servings did you have, Bob? Oh, I had 4. I had 2. I had 3.
And again, he's so focused on the minutia. He's watching the ladle. He's not watching anybody's faces, which is what I would think you would want to watch, is to find the person who looks nervous. But he's focused on the thing in front of him.
So when they get done with everything, there's still like a quart left in the bottom of it.
Or
And
should
so
yeah.
Right, should be. No, there's a quart of sand left in there.
Yeah,
So
sand. Yeah, sand.
Yeah, there should have been about a quart of strawberries. Yeah.
So now we have a thief, and now we're going to find out.
Right.
And he's like, they
This is
probably
also
have a
when he-
key.
So, well, no, what he does is he puts together some officers. He puts them in charge of an investigative board.
Yes.
They go and he's like, I want to answer by like 0800 or something. So they
Yeah,
go
like,
ask
we'll look
questions.
into it in the morning. He goes, no, you're going to do it right now. Did I say in the morning?
Yeah, and then they come back to him with their, findings where we couldn't find anything.
Yeah, and because they
And-
question the people and they don't, if nobody owns up, what are you going to do?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
exactly.
mean, even they assume that the stewards ate it, but if they don't fess up to it, they have no evidence, so they can't really go forward with that.
Exactly.
Right.
I like to,
There
because
it
they had to
is.
submit a full, official form.
And sign it too.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Operation Strawberry.
And-
And here's
There's
where
a
he
movie
just
there,
goes
right
off.
there. Operation Strawberry should be a movie.
When he was young, when he was in 1937, when he was on a ship, so he'd already been in for like 2 years by that point. But he was a young ensign. Somebody had made a copy of the key
Mm-hmm.
to get into the food locker and use that key to then pilfer a whole bunch of food. And he's like, this is what happened here. And
he tells it like it. This is like it's almost like he considers it his greatest achievement in the Navy.
They
Right.
mention it too, that he's replaying his greatest hits.
yeah,
Mhm.
This is what got him all the accolades back when he was an ensign. Now he's gonna crack
Right.
the Strawberry case.
exactly.
And this
So
too, the way he's putting the butter on his toast is like,
Again, focusing on that minutia.
right.
yeah,
So he's like, so what we're going to do is we're going to collect up all the keys and then we're going to strip search everybody.
God.
And then the keys will come, and then we'll
Because he's
find
convinced it's the only way.
Roman, if that's your best story, you need to throw yourself to the sea snakes. But
You imagine if you're on a ship like that and they're stripping you naked looking for keys.
And it's
What's
a
next?
massive waste of time.
What's the next?
Right.
Cavity searches? Like
so they get all the keys and and it's labeled by whose key it belongs to. So they know, and they'll try every key to get into
Yeah.
to
how long
the
would that take?
freezer or whatever. And
This guy, it's a beautiful day to get
it's a nice
stripped
day
down,
for a
isn't it?
strip search.
Jay, I know, right? I mentioned that.
That guy.
yeah,
I mentioned,
Smart
Christopher
dude.
Walken. Christopher Walken should be on the ship. I took this key, and I
Yeah. This one time I had a key.
yeah, right, exactly. To the Strawberries, and I hid this key.
and
now I'm
but
giving
they were
it to
telling
you.
them, well, why wouldn't they just throw it overboard? And they're like, well, they went through all the trouble, so they're not going to because now they have the key to the thing. And then they were like, well, what if they just hide it somewhere? That's what I would. I mean, let's say I made the key and I stole the strawberries. Well, first off, I'd make sure I
mean-
didn't go to the captain with a big strawberry ring around my mouth. But secondly,
Yeah,
I would. You just have to hide the key somewhere. There's a bazillion places to hide it.
yes, you could.
know?
You hide something, and nobody'd ever find it.
Yeah,
But their captain is convinced that even if he hit it, they'll find it.
right.
I mean, he's
Yeah.
willing to spend what that would be. this is the bulk of a day. Searching the entire ship top to bottom and making sure that nobody else was moving a key after you searched a certain place would have to be a small group of like just the officers, and that would take like 24 hours to just like have
Probably
like
more.
5 people search that entire ship.
Yeah. Well, I hate to say this, but the military does tend to waste time on stupid crap.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
And this guy here tells the captain that, you know, I saw the busboys eating all the strawberries. They ate all the
Oh
strawberries.
yeah.
So
Crime
he-
solved. It was the busboys.
So this guy, his wife is sick, so he's gonna go like get to go on another ship and leave.
Yeah, like a hardship leave.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. He did fess up to try to be like, here's what's happening. But the captain is he didn't want to. He's trying to save face instead of saying I was wrong. We don't need to strip search everybody. He's doing it anyway, just to try to CYA.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he really wants that key story to be
Save
true
face.
or
Mhm.
whatever to just
Yeah.
Because this guy, he says he talked to the stewards. They admitted they ate it. No, duh. And then, and then he told the captain is what he's telling him.
Mhm.
And then the captain was like, "Okay, whatever. We're still doing a key search." So
Yeah.
this guy is telling him that he told the captain, and the captain's like, "Whatever, kid." So this is when they're like, "All right, he's putting us through all of this stuff for nothing."
He's cracked. It's time to go and
Right.
tell
Yeah.
somebody.
They're going to
So
go
now
over there
they're
to
gonna
tell
go-
the admiral.
Right, the admiral on the carrier, and they've got
What
like,
admiral
their
was it?
notes.
Admiral
Halsey.
Halsey. Yeah.
Halsey. Yeah.
They've
Yeah, I
got
heard
their
that in my
notes, they
Halo
got
fan
his
ears.
little
Pete.
logbook that he recorded every incident, with dates and times and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Which sounds cool, but I've had incidents where somebody just made one of those up and then tried to present it. So
Uh-huh.
it's not hard to do. You just sit down for a couple hours and write one out.
Yeah, it's not like they would go over to
Yeah.
the Caine and immediately relieve him of command. At best, there would be an investigation.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
And it's
how realistic is this on the aircraft carrier where it seems like everybody is on the opposite side of where they need to be?
It was just so that you could see how many people are on it running around.
Okay, I
Also, if
appreciate
you notice, when you're going up the elevator, there are actually some like there's like fighters in there, Panthers or something, jet fighters.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there were.
Yeah, there were.
Let's
Yep.
go back.
Yeah, it's
Got to go back
real
and see
hard to
that.
see them, but they're there.
yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right
Right
there.
there. You can see the
cone?
nose.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then this one over here on the left. Look at the tail with the canopy. So
Yeah,
it's one of the
uh-huh.
ones that have wings with the round fuel tanks on the end. See the wings folded up. So those are
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
which were not a thing then.
yeah. Wow, that's
Roman
cool.
says that's
Cohabitating witnesses are important. Probably.
Oh, yeah.
Ones. Oh, that you're right. That's why saying you have to have corroborating witnesses that all say yes, I saw it. So you have your record, right? But you also have the other people that will swear that this is what was on it. In my case that I dealt with, somebody just brought this in and tried to say that was what, and then through investigation, it turned out later that she just made it up. So, oh wait, did I say she? My bad. It doesn't matter, but yeah.
And I think this they want to make a point to what you're saying, Beard, about why would everybody be up in terms of a giant mass? What
Yeah.
happens is as they're up and they can down and look and see, all of a sudden they see organization. They see a ship shape, crew,
Yeah.
bang.
And of course, the guy that instigated all of this is the one that's like, no, this is a real name. We can't do this. I'm out.
Yes. They
Guys
check
got
it
no
out
spine.
Yeah.
So
because they know what they have is crap.
see all the guys on the left hand side. I think those are all like the regular like run the ship crew.
And then they have the air
And then
deck
the
crew.
guys on the other side in the colored shirts, those are the ones that are doing all of the maintenance, launching the air, recovering the aircraft,
Yes.
arming them up.
Yeah.
But where the guys on the left are the ones running the anti-aircraft guns and doing the anchor and
Right.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a ship crew.
It's
Then that's
crazy
the
to
air
think.
crew.
It's crazy to think that this ship, massive ship, is dwarfed by the ones we have today.
Oh, I know.
Mm.
Yeah.
I've been on the Midway, and that is now in dry dock in San Diego. And across the bay, we could see a brand new modern carrier. It was like, huge compared to the Midway. And the Midway was in the first Gulf War in the 90s. It was still being used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
But here's the other thing about World War II is we put, I can't remember what they called them. They were little carriers that only had like maybe a squadron on them or something. But we made so many of the things just so that you could have air cover with almost everything that we sent anywhere.
Right.
What are they called? Like, I can't remember.
Japan has them. They're not aircraft carriers or something else.
Yeah, but we made a bunch of them, especially
Yeah.
for the Philippine landing. I can't remember what they're called though, but they're small. They only hold like 15, 20 planes at the most.
Yeah, spineless little instigator here is like, no, we can't do this. And I think the other guys would, if the Admiral had been available, I think they probably still would have gone forward with it. But the Admiral's not available. It's not a good time. So they just got to go back.
He says just a second, he said the Admiral will see you. And they're like, we're not going to go see him now.
Oh, I thought he had said.
No. That's why they were like, yeah, we decided it's not an appropriate time to talk to the Admiral. So
they call it helicopter carriers now, the Japanese have, but they wouldn't have been called that back then. I don't know what they would have called. Their little mini version of an aircraft carrier.
Yeah, and then everybody runs back to the other side again. I know, it's fine.
Calisthenics, that's what they're doing.
That's right.
Escort carrier, Jay says.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
That's what they were called. Or a light aircraft carrier.
So then this guy comes back and yells at him, you better hurry up and get back to your ship. There's a storm coming in.
Now, that's a real storm.
Yeah, actually happened.
Yeah.
The author was in a storm like that and kind of based the events on what happened to him. He was a comm officer on a ship during this typhoon. He was on one of the ships they named that went down. And he mentions what happened at the time happens on this bridge. Basically, the captain froze, and the XO was basically the more experienced seaman, and they're wanting him to take over, and he wouldn't do it. There was no mutiny on this one.
Mm.
And they went up going, and they had an inquiry, and the captain did nothing wrong, even though he kind of, he did what he was told, and ended up fucking up and sinking the ship. But
they say it later that 194 ships made it before sank in the storm.
This is a fantastic model work. I don't know how big it was, but I get the feeling that this is probably like a 5 to 6 foot long model, probably.
Yeah,
because you can get those waves.
The waves are not dwarfing the waves are really hard. Water is really flame and water were very hard to do for models because it looked
they don't scale right.
Yeah, but this one looks
so they
pretty
had to do
good.
Big models.
Yeah, Halsey got blamed for that. He put his ships in the harm's way.
Yeah,
nobody got demoted or anything for it, but
for instance, the White House in Independence Day is probably bigger than my house I live in. That's how big the model was of the White House.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, they did a lot of details with that model.
Typhoons are pretty crazy because sometimes they'll be like, oh, it's going to be this really big typhoon, and then it's nothing. And other times it's like really bad, like 100-mile-an-hour winds tearing stuff apart.
Yeah.
I've been through probably 6 or 8 of them.
Are typhoons in Indian Ocean?
Yeah, it's a Pacific thing. It's hurricanes on the and no, in the Indian Ocean it's called a cyclone.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
And typhoon for Pacific, and then hurricane
right.
for Atlantic.
Hurricanes, right? Yep.
Although
They're basically the same storm.
I see they call them hurricanes in Hawaii now, and I thought they were like typhoons.
Yeah, that's just
I know.
That's probably just a dumbass media.
It is, yeah. Yeah. And he's dead set on maintaining the course that he was ordered. He's not going to deviate, even though everybody's saying we need to take on some ballast or we need to, head into the wind, or he's just holding course and they're just getting slammed and the ship is breaking up. You can see it. Just
That kind of lends itself to what you were saying earlier, Shield. I think we may have lost Jacob for a minute here.
Oh no.
What you were saying earlier about he's just defaulted to, like not being in charge. He's just following the orders. He's not making decisions anymore. It's not my decision. It's not my choice. The decision was made and I have to follow through with it.
Right. Well, there's a fine line between staying on task and order, right? And risking and risk assessment that goes with it. But the thing is that he, as a captain of a ship, he has discretion to do those things as long as you can explain them. Like, hey, we're getting swamped by the storm, especially once the smokestack crumples. That would be. Now, I don't know if you got a damage report.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yep, we hear you.
I'm back.
Yeah, if somebody would have made him aware. We lost
Operation
the smokestack, we lost the con tower.
Jacob attack.
Then he could have gone
that conning tower. I think he loses all comms with like the fleet.
He does.
Yeah.
So he's on his own totally.
Right.
And he could have, gone back. Why were you not information? As well, we lost our communications. We lost our smokestack. We're getting ready to roll. We went into the wind.
Don't they have a man overboard? There's
they just gloss over the fact that one guy falls off the.
Nobody knows. He just disappeared.
Yeah, I don't know if he went overboard or why were they even screwing around with that thing?
I don't know.
In the middle of a storm like this.
Why would have anybody been on deck, period?
Yeah.
Right.
You think everybody would have been down below?
I think he ordered somebody to go do something. And they went overboard. But they never mentioned it again, though.
No, there's no man overboard call or anything.
Yeah, they definitely just kind of gloss over that. You'd think that you'd be called back at least to, answer a couple questions. Yeah, at a certain point, formation just goes out.
What caused that?
Survival is what you need.
What would cause that? The smokestack to do that?
High waves, and you're you're not riding the storm correctly. You're going against it, or
you're taking the full brunt.
Right, you're in a bad spot. Right, it'll cause wave pressure alone because I think it's a hollow stack. They actually are pretty thin as well, if I recall right. It's got superstructure.
Okay.
The metal itself is not going to be heavy because it doesn't need to be. It's just for smoke to come out of.
Now they talk about if they go into the wind, they'll be better, but they're not. They're like being hit broadside.
Right.
By 100-mile-an-hour wind plus wave action.
Also, if they flood the ballast tanks, it'll make them sit lower in the water, and
they get hit more.
Right, but also it'll make them harder to tip or something. But he doesn't want to do that because he don't want to foul the fuel lines.
Yeah.
Right.
And also, I think it'll slow them down. And they want to keep up with the fleet or something.
And it's not going well. They're getting just beat. They're about to roll over.
And I mean, if you're going to have to risk, taking command and hoping everybody backs you, this is it. When you're about to capsize and sink.
Yeah.
The real life ship went down and killed 200 men.
Mhm.
I mean, think if that guy had taken over, they probably would have survived.
It's possible if the more experienced XO, who had more sea experience, took over, they may have been able to. Because eventually, like Jay said, Halsey basically said, "Everybody,
Well,
fight for save yourselves, get out of the formation, do whatever you need to."
I think the
But
captain would be capable of actually saving the ship if he would do whatever it took to save the ship instead of trying to stay on course
right,
and maintain what he's
Mhm.
doing. He knows better. He's just
Yeah.
doesn't want to. Whereas, you turn into the wind, you flood or don't flood or whatever you got to do with the tanks, and you do whatever. Because eventually he didn't want to, because the XO wanted to take one of the engines in reverse, and he didn't even want to do that. And I guess it was supposed to spin him around or something. I don't know what it was going to do. But eventually, when he takes command, he gets the captain off of it and then he puts it in reverse. And for anybody that doesn't know, that little thing that does the ding, 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 whatever, that's not directly connected to the engine. That's just a signal for the engine room people to do whatever it is they do.
yeah,
Yeah,
that goes to the
right.
engine room to tell them to.
Right. And they do it from like big levers or something down there. I don't know
Yeah.
exactly how they control it.
I actually remember.
Now, I'm not sure if that's how it works like that anymore, but that's how it was back then.
And now they're
So
back
now
at
they're
base.
back
They're
in San Francisco.
being tried, court-martialed for mutiny.
It's like, I love you. Oh, I can't marry you. Go away. It's weird. It's really a weird dialogue here.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna be hanged. Let's get married.
I was scanning through some trivia trying to find the size of that model ship, and I didn't find that. But apparently, the studio manufactured in the newspapers a fake romance between those two actors to try to draw people to the theater, even though they were not at all
Yeah,
involved with each other
that's what I'm
outside the
saying.
film.
Her whole point in here is to get women to show up to the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, look at that old Jeep. That's cool.
Yeah.
They don't make them like that anymore.
No,
Yeah,
that was actually like a Willys Jeep, right? Not like a Jeep, the manufacturer. It was like the original.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I don't know if you noticed. What's his name?
His Ferreira.
Right hand.
Yeah.
He broke his hand like a few weeks before they started shooting, or a week or something. So it's all
like
bandaged up.
It looks like a
splint.
Kids.
Yeah.
Maybe there is a splint on there. Yeah, I see that. It's a little thicker now that I look at it. I thought it was just some like regular bandages on there.
I had to multitask a little bit while I was watching this. I assumed I'd missed something story wise, but I didn't know it was a real thing.
That's what I assumed, is that he really hurt his hand, because there's no other reason to have it on there.
Yeah.
No. So he thinks they did it. So, I mean, he says, I should be prosecuting.
Yeah. He said eight other lawyers said no. Nobody wants to have this.
And this guy isn't even on trial. It's the main two.
Mm-hmm.
Roman saying
Van
that
Heflin's character and
the lawyer has aviation greens. I guess he was part of the aviation branch, and that they no longer have these anymore. But I don't know. When I came in '88, where I went to training at, there were some Navy people there, and it seemed like they had like 5 different uniforms. It was crazy. There was like a dude wearing an all black set with a tie, and then there was a guy wearing white ones, and it was crazy.
It depends on where you come from, too. Yeah. Pacific and Atlantic, or so, like
Would
In the north, it's winter, so you wear your dress blues, and then in the south of the equator, it's summer at the same time. So you're wearing your Pacific, your Johnny Cash's, and your
Yeah,
South
they
Pacific
were wearing all
outfits.
kinds of stuff. It was all kinds of stuff. It was
would
weird.
would
Like,
this
we had
have been before Jag?
No, I think Jag has always been around
No.
in the Navy.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, this was my first time watching this. Going into this, I did not. I don't know. I expected, I guess, a little bit more kind of like what you would think of as a mutiny, like a little bit more kind of like they're in a bad situation, kind of action. Or not. I didn't think this was going to end up in like a courtroom towards the end of the film. And that's not a knock against it. I really enjoyed it. There's a lot of good dialogue in this that actually carries the tension without having to show very much.
and only dress whites between Memorial. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a court martial. They're going to be in a courtroom.
Yeah, because they quote what the article that they use or whatever it was they use against the captain. I mean, he's like, "Oh, but did you know about this other one?"
Yeah, we used 184, but did you know
And he
about
cut it.
186?
This shows that this guy is a yellow, because as soon as the attorney starts questioning him, he's like, "I'm out of here."
Yeah, he cuts and runs.
Who knew that the Padishah Emperor he used to wear
Yeah, right.
aviation grease? Because he was in the 1984 Dune movie. As the
Oh,
Emperor.
okay.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's Jose Ferreira.
Yeah.
And this is him. I can't believe I played in that.
And the prosecutor is the head guy. Was in a Creep Show as E.G. Pratt, the bug one, where the cockroaches get him in his little hermetically sealed.
Right. He was in his they come crawling out of his mouth at the end or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
E.G. Marshall.
Oh yeah, I can see it in his face.
He was in 12 Angry Men too.
Yeah.
Wait, what
Did
show
anybody
was he
notice
in that he had
I know.
cockroaches
I
coming
know.
out of his mouth?
Creep Show.
Creep
First
Show.
Creep Show.
Yeah, it was like
It was the last of the vignettes of Creep Show. Yeah, Roman. I know those titles too.
Yeah.
That 1940s, 50s vibe thing going on there.
Did you notice that the Golden Gate Bridge is not red in this movie?
It also doesn't look like it's a suspension bridge. The backdrop they've got, I think they must have cut budget on this one because it looks like
I mean, when they're doing actual footage of them in the parking lot, you can see it behind them. It's not red. It's like gray or something. I don't know. Maybe they painted it that way in World War II to make it low profile or something.
Interesting. Almost none of these officers has a warfare pin.
You're talking about the lawyers, right, Roman?
I think everybody's kind of mentioning.
I think I kind of get the feeling it probably means most everybody who has any kind of deciding power here.
Yeah, he says all.
Oh, is that it's like a thing that goes above your ribbons or something, right?
Yeah, there's like a surface warfare.
Oh, okay, right. Okay.
All those kind of things.
So like if they were like a submarine guy, it'd have the weird dolphin thing on there.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Then you have aviation wings or surface warfare.
Well,
but I don't know when they made those.
What is that? Is that a service pin?
It's something. He has stars on it for deployments. But if he's like a brand new guy, how would he have that many?
Well, they went to that
battles?
invasion. They went to that invasion, and then
That was one.
Yeah, but sometimes you get these things like I got a presidential unit citation for just being in a country at the same time as a unit.
Yeah, but he's got stars in it too. That usually means multiple.
Right.
I don't know what the time frame they're looking at
I
here.
mean,
What,
yeah, kind of like I said earlier, I get the feeling that there's a lot of time skips that we're not really privy to.
Yeah. Because Lee Marvin actually has his guy up there and talks about how, yeah, this star here is for the Coral Sea. This one here is for
Right. And I thought that he was trying to, when he brings that when he questions him, is to show that, this crew has been through a lot, because this guy's been on the boat forever.
Yeah.
Or the ship, whatever.
No, was that a Purple Heart the guy had? Ribbon?
It's hard to tell with these.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the stenographer?
No, they did a close up of one of the other officers and it looked like he had purple, like a Purple Heart thing, but maybe it was that guy. What is that?
Oh yeah, that's a Purple Heart.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, it's because he got the scar in his face.
Then that's a National
Oh,
Defense
that's a
Ribbon.
nice detail.
Yeah.
Because I got that. Because I was
Yeah,
in the
I don't
first
know what that
Gulf.
one in the middle is. With the, I'd have to look it up.
And then the stuff in the bottom, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but those two on the top, those are universal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're starting to, try to grill them, and doesn't sound too good when they're explaining it now.
Yeah.
Look at that furniture.
That
I went to a grade
guy
school
in the
that-
background, the stenographer. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
He's a chief. The stenographer's a chief, and that's a first class on the stand.
Yeah. And the stripes on their sleeves are,
Yeah.
the like longevity stripes or whatever.
Yeah, every 4 years.
The
And
actor,
then
though,
we
the
do-
stenographer actor, he's in a Twilight Zone. The Twilight Zone where the kid wishes everybody into the cornfield.
Oh, yeah.
He gets turned into a Jack in the Box.
You're talking like
He also-
the newer one from like the 80s or
No,
whatever?
the old one. The old one.
Oh, the old one.
No,
There's
the
a newer one,
the
that
old
kid
one.
that wishes like some weird giant bunny is around, and then
Yeah.
He also looks a little bit like Rowan Atkinson in this shot.
He does, doesn't he? Yeah.
no, like Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean.
Those stripes, after you do 12 years and you have good conduct, they turn gold, I believe. The stripes.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
he's
like this. He lists his
At the time,
lists his
one stripe for 4 years
awards
of
and
service.
yeah.
So wait, so this guy's I guess back then you could get promoted that quick. in 8
Yeah.
years.
Especially in the wartime, a lot of people got upped. Yeah, so he's pointing to each one of the stars as an additional. Instead of having like 5 of the same metal, you got one metal, but then you got stars in it.
Yeah, that's still how it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said earlier, they're trying to point out that these
Now,
guys
this
that
guy.
have been there for a while. don't
Yeah,
have a
they're not
problem with it.
green.
They don't have
They're-
a problem with them, really. So why would anybody else?
Yeah.
and
Oh,
he
this
caves
guy
on
here.
him here.
Oh God, he turns just pathetic.
Oh, this dude.
The main instigator, all of a sudden now it's like, no, everything was fine. These guys are crazy, but not
Yeah,
me.
the way we're describing it, we're not doing justice to how this scene plays out, how really good it is.
Oh no, it is fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I recommend seeing this movie, so you can see how Roman lived back in the days.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of a sudden
Little
he's
snake.
heel turn. Would be
Yeah, and the
So he's-
lawyer's
he's
basically
telling-
like,
telling
we're
him
not going to
he's-
address this right now because
worth
he's
it.
just going to keep lying. It's not going to help.
like literally every time he opens his mouth,
Yeah.
it's worse for you. So
hmm
oh yeah. And they're all like, oh yeah, he's our man. I bet you told them all about it. Said, oh yeah.
Now I do like how he cross examines the Navy doctor.
Yes.
All
It was
smug,
good.
like, oh yeah, I've examined him.
Yeah, and
Man,
the doctor's been like in the Navy for like
like 4
3
months.
months,
5
I think.
months.
Yeah.
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 He wrote a book or something. Yeah.
I wrote a book.
He's like, have you ever been to sea? Well, no.
And how many captains have you interviewed with sea experience? And
Right. Yeah. So he really gets in, there is no you can't handle the truth moment in this at all, but
I mean,
yeah,
it's very
still just
believable
good.
tearing down of his authority or his expertise to be able to diagnose somebody.
like this guy here, right off the bat, tells him, I know you want to tear this guy down, but you're not going to.
Well, he says to treat him with, not
Respect.
treat him as a hostile witness.
Right. You have to have a respect for the rank and the process. And also, if you're talking about someone's mental health and their patient confidentiality and their medical records and stuff, you
Mhm.
can't just divulge everything.
Right.
There is expectations of privacy, and so this guy just can't come out and
Which is kind of crazy because this is like
this would be the
35
meeting
years before the Privacy
HIPAA.
Act.
Yeah, exactly. So there were rules based like that. And of course, he wants to say, is this guy nuts or not, or get into it. And no, it's, so yeah.
Well, and there's obviously a big
Every
difference
time I
between-
do courtroom. Go ahead, Beard. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say there's a big difference between, diagnosing somebody's mental capacities in a calm, controlled office versus when they're faced with these heavy decisions like we've seen the captain throughout this movie. That's when he breaks. He could be completely normal, but then something happens and those steel balls come out. And
He puts the screws to him, and then that's when they break out.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Jacob. I didn't mean to interrupt you. What you got?
No, I just every time I do a courtroom movie, I think my cousin Vinny, I'm done with this guy.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
No more questions, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Oh, they really get him good. What were your grades in high school? What were your grades in college? Do you even know how to spell?
Yeah, they're
Paranoid?
kind of accusing him of like wanting to take over, just for the sake of taking over. And he does a really good job of like looking incredibly uncomfortable and alone here. That everybody he thought was going to back him up is basically either not helping him or just turn their back on him.
And he's kind of questioning maybe he was the crazy one,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure after that line of question, like even this guy's like, that was something. Yeah, that was just the first round, buddy. We haven't even seen it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Dun, 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 dun.
But what they're going to demonstrate here is there's a big difference between knowing exactly what paranoia and schizophrenia and all this, and somebody not acting right. You don't know what to call it, but you know when they're doing it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And, when they're putting the ship in danger.
And he starts out so comfortable because he feels like he's in control right now. He's got a very open kind of stance, leaning back and just casual.
Good night, Roman.
Fine. Oh, see you, man.
Yeah. He's
Night,
like
Roman.
really laid back and chill. And what's up, guys?
Yeah, thanks for all the info and everything.
Yes.
Yeah, Roman. Thanks. That was great.
Roman's real good. He even talks about how I have no malice for these men. I feel quite sorry for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just one or two of the officers, that were doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where he gets the warning from them saying, "You're not going to tear him down."
Yeah.
Which he doesn't. If you at the end of the movie, you find out that he has a lot of respect for him.
Yeah, you find out. Yeah, that was really good at the end of the movie. How it wasn't cut and dry. This guy was just bad. And everybody was good. It was a lot of ambiguity, a lot of, you know.
Yeah,
It's funny 'cause-
obviously.
Good.
I was going to say, obviously, they were very bad at recognizing and admitting to like PTSD and combat fatigue, whatever you want to call it, and its long-term effects, and how they could affect somebody that is, used to be good and hasn't had a break because it's a war too. So it's not like you could, you know what I mean, just replace this guy. Every person, especially someone with his amount of years in the Navy, would be really critical to have around.
Yeah. Once they burn out, they can't go back to that kind of position. They need to be taken out, and
at least temporarily until they can work through it, and then maybe you can put them back in there. But
look at that, it's so well acted. Because now he's sitting up straight. He's awkward. You can see it on his face. He's realizing that he's not in control anymore.
His body language is changing.
It's almost like he's like it's. I don't know if it was intentional in the movie, but that's almost like a comforting sort of stance he's got with his fingers interlaced, like he's either trying to comfort himself or keep his hand out of his pocket so he doesn't get those steel balls out and start going down the crazy road.
Yeah, they go over all the weird things. They go over the shirt and the name column. It was called the yellow streak.
Yellow streak.
Yellow stain. This is what they called him, yellow stain.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, he's got the balls.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. It's like, I need him.
No, they.
Well, but he's been in the Navy since like 1936. So
and he's in the Atlantic.
Right, in the Atlantic. And he was in the Atlantic running protecting cargo while they were getting torpedoed by wolf packs.
Yeah, he mentioned that. He was a ship's captain doing the cargo runs between.
Well,
again,
he was.
I don't know how intentional it was, or if y'all caught it, but right when he gets those out of his pocket, there's a brief moment of that confidence again, like he's like calm, like he's like, "Oh, this is nice." But then he starts going down and basically, dooming his own case. But there was a brief moment. I don't think I saw it when I was watching it live. That's like so many times when we do this, you get a freeze frame of it. But it was almost like he was relieved that he had that kind of like coping mechanism available again.
Right. But yeah, he was in the Atlantic before he took over, and they were getting ravaged by wolf packs. So there's a lot of legitimate, fear all the time that any moment could be it. And then you put him in charge of a ship, and you got no fail like stuff going on all the time. It's a lot of pressure.
And they grow him down. They finally get to the strawberry incident. And, he goes from, I have no malice to these people. It's just a couple officers. And all of a sudden, it's like everybody was a moron. Everybody was disloyal.
Right. They're all out to get me to make me look like a fool. Yep. No one wants to listen to me. And basically, he just displays all the stuff that's wrong with him right there in front of everybody. All they had to do was just get him talking.
Yes. He even does the weird joke in the beginning of the stream. The strawberries, yes, that's when I had him. He actually does that in the scene. He goes off the thing and says, yes, the strawberries. Yes, and then everybody can just see how nuts it is. And like you see this one, the prosecutor, it was like everybody was ashamed. They couldn't even look at the guy. It was like, it was like, I'm embarrassed for you because I can't even look at you. It's a shameful thing.
And also they see that, this guy is broken.
Yeah. Everything they said was true.
Yeah.
Obviously, they did have to take over the ship to save the ship. So this is not a mutiny. Of course, you don't hear him say that in the court and all that. It's just here we find out from the celebration that we're not going to be hanged. You know?
And they're
Yeah.
singing like he's a jolly good fellow or something or whatever. And this guy's over here trying to be on the phone long distance, which back then cost a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
Dude, just
So-
give up. Let her go.
So yeah, this is so weird. They go from that to they're celebrating. I mean,
Mhm.
this is a shameful thing. It's not something to celebrate.
Well, that happens here in a few moments where the party's over, and
Oh,
it
yeah,
gets
yeah.
it gets real serious. I think that was like some of the best scene in the whole movie is when Jose Ferreira comes in and just lays it down. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They
So
were
Oh,
like,
I-
you
Kill
show your
worm.
face here. I'm not sure I would either.
Uh-huh.
he's like, I'm surprised you had the courage to show your face there. And he says, well, and I didn't have the courage not to,
Yeah, exactly.
which I don't
Yeah.
even know what that means, but
I gotta get it, but still, but nobody else knows.
Well, the only person in this room who knows is Van Heflin's character.
Yeah, they don't know. They thought he went in there and they don't
So
know.
he was
oh, right.
he didn't want to be thought a cow. He would. They'd wonder why he's not here. Why isn't he here?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good
So
point.
that's why he showed up.
And he's proposing. He's gonna marry her. I don't care. We'll tell mom later. Finally, his testicles drop a little. That's good. Oh, here it comes.
This is great.
And he
It is.
just lets him have it.
Well, he's already drunk when he walks in.
Oh yeah, he's hammered. He
Yeah.
has to be. He's just, as he says, he's disgusted with himself. I torpedoed this man's career. Well, I guess in the book it was way more hardcore. They actually
Yeah.
speak more about what the guy did
Yeah.
in Atlantic. You know,
Wait, what do you mean about just all the messed up things the captain did?
in the Atlantic, what he did, his record in Atlantic. He said,
Oh, like what the stuff he went through.
yeah.
Right.
So there was a thing that happened in World War II where soap the Germans made was rendered from the fat of dead Jewish people. And in the book, there's a line this guy says that this guy stopped Herman German from washing his ass with one of my grandparents as a reference to
Oh,
what he was doing in the Atlantic. He was a war hero.
Right.
He was a proper captain. And he got damaged and got sent to the Pacific. And then you people had it run at him. Now, that was in the book. So in the book, this scene is way more intense. But just from the movie standpoint, he is, yeah, you got off. Congratulations. This guy's screwed. And I
Yeah.
feel like crap for doing it. You
yeah.
know,
It's a win at what cost? Like, like he's not proud of the win at all.
Well, this is where he tells him that
Yeah.
if they would, when he asked for help, if you would have helped him, this wouldn't have happened.
exactly.
Mhm.
Right. And that's why it's your guys' fault that it went the way it did.
Yeah.
Yep.
He came to you for help. None of you wanted helped at all. So what do you think was going to happen? You hung him out to dry. So screw all you.
He's got a great
And this
departing line
is
where he
great.
says something like, it's basically, if you want to fight, I'll be outside and I'm just drunk enough. It might be fair.
They had they had to cut a bunch of stuff. Like the movie was already too long, and they cut a whole bunch out. What I should have done was got rid of this dude's relationship with the singer.
Exactly.
Put all that stuff in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it is mentioned in the beginning of the like when the captain first comes on, they do talk about where he was, he's in the Atlantic and saw a bunch of action and stuff. They didn't really highlight it though.
Yeah, this guy glossed over it.
Yeah.
I agree, Jay. They should have really given him more context that no, this guy wasn't always a sniveling little coward. He was once, and he got damaged. And this is
Right. Because a lot of
This
that was the Atlantic campaign in the beginning was really tough. They were losing thousands of tons a month, and you couldn't stop to pick up some of the survivors.
No,
You had
you
to
had to
leave
leave them. Because if
Yeah,
you stopped, you're dead.
yeah, you would
You
get
had to run.
more ships would get torpedoed.
Yeah, it was hell until
Yeah,
they were
was
able
it
to
when he
finally.
got
this right here, this part right here,
Oh yeah, he calls him out
he
for what he
points out
did.
this guy because really he was the one that seeded all that
Mhm.
stuff about the captain.
He got it going
And yeah, and he chickened out at the end.
big time. Yeah, he gives it to him. And oh yeah,
That would burn the eyes.
Right in the face.
I like how he tells them, I'll be outside, all that, and like everybody goes outside. Did like everybody
Yeah, we'll
beat
be
this
outside
guy,
waiting for you.
or what happened?
Well, party's over.
Oh yeah, it definitely is over.
Ain't no wet blanket like the truth.
Yeah.
And now we're back to this.
So now they're married.
see the bridge in the background.
And the first captain came back.
Yeah, I think it was Jay earlier
Where's
that
the-
said
oh,
that
yeah.
could be the Bay Bridge.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. Sure looks like the Golden Gate.
But yeah, notice how it's not red.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Jay.
And he gets
So we-
the first captain back.
Sorry. All right. Had a nice little vacation. Let's get back to work.
Bet you guys missed me. But then it's kind of weird because he has like respect for this guy because he had guts to stand up.
Right. And then, because so he thought that, well, he's got more experience. He's got about a year in now, right?
A wartime experience too, yeah.
Right. And so the captain, he's thinking the captain's going to be all like, what are you, snot-nosed kid. And he's like, why don't you take her out of the harbor? So,
Mhm.
Yeah. And even that captain has a different attitude.
Plus,
It's like
this is a
he's had
brand
a
new
rest
ship.
and he's ready to go again.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is a brand new ship. This isn't some junker. This is like a brand new ship. Look at the turrets. It's got double guns on it. Yeah. So I don't know. Pretty much all of my experience from about ships and stuff is playing World of Warships.
See, there's the Golden Gate right there. So that was the Bay Bridge.
Yeah.
Oh, was it?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I guess
Yeah,
it is.
Bay
red.
Bridge is white.
Yeah.
I just looked it up.
Okay.
And there it is.
Excellent.
I will give a lot of these older movies credit. When they wrap up the story, they don't carry out and just delay and drag out the ending. It's like happily ever after, credits. Now go home.
Exactly. It's not like five
Yeah,
different
right.
endings in your
Right.
for your ending,
Yep.
So they did a remake
that
of
was
this,
really good.
and Keith Sutherland was in it.
It was just the trial, I thought.
Yeah, it's actually titled "The Trial of the Caine Mutiny,"
Right.
or the Caine Mutiny Trial.
All right.
Yeah, one of the things I read in trivia about this movie, that Michael Caine was in a telephone booth talking to his agent, and the agent told him that his acting name was already taken by another actor, and it was like Michael White, I think.
Michael White
And
or
he
something.
had to think up. Yeah, he had to think up a new name, and he looked over at the theater across the street from the phone booth, and they were playing this movie. So
Yeah.
that's how he got his name.
Oh, okay.
I thought that was funny.
So there's apparently actually two the Caine Mutiny court martial movies. One in '88 with Eric Bogosian and Jeff Daniels.
Oh wow.
And then the 2023, the new one. But those are both just the extended, like full length trial scene out of the book without having to deal with anything else before or after.
I think I saw one of them.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's no ship scenes or nothing. It was just straight trial. Now in the book,
Yeah, I have to look at that.
the cowardly guy becomes a captain, and Keith becomes his XO, and they get into Okinawa and they get kamikazed. And
Oh, wow.
the yellow guy, the novelist, he cuts and runs and jumps off the ship, bails on the XO. He stays behind and gets wounded and gets awarded a medal, but then gets demoted because after this trial was over, this guy's the conviction, the thing is overturned. So this guy now has a blemish on his record.
Right.
He finally gets out. He finally gets his own command finally, and then goes off to San Francisco. It ends kind of well for him, but it was it's kind of weird, the book.
Interesting. Yeah, I really appreciate all the knowledge from Shieldwall, Blair, and Roman in the chat. Added a lot to the
Good stuff.
movie.
And
Yeah.
Jay, he contributed too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jay
Yay.
too. Yeah, Jay's always good for the info too.
Zach's was just a
He just came barreling through the wall with his shoulders and did what he wanted.
yeah. He was a little bit racist there, then ran off. Whatever. Yeah. Zach.
Yeah, good stuff.
That's a good movie.
Yeah,
yeah.
It is. Like I said, we've said they could have cut out the old girlfriend thing and it would have been fine.
Yeah.
Better, even, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
You could add it like
They didn't have all that stuff in the book, did they?
I don't know.
I think it did.
Really?
From what I read and heard, there was actual romance in it. So
okay,
that wouldn't.
I guess they wanted to keep some of that in there, and maybe even if I'm going to give him a little bit of credit and
Get some
forethought,
couples
try to give him more of a grounded, like at home type story. But they never played that up at all during the rest of the film. But you could still get away with that with him being potentially the only son of his widowed mother. That's enough of a grounding at home when you're going away to war, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That would have been good. But yeah. So yeah, let's just go around the horn and plug what we got coming up. Beard, what do you got?
Next up is the therapy session with Roman of the Empire. A couple of you guys and the rest of the panel for the Acolyte.
Oh God.
Which
yes,
I'm watching
where we scream like a.
I'm watching this shit.
Where we scream at the sky.
Yeah. I don't. I've gotten past that. I'm full on board with the Joker voice now.
Okay, good.
It's a comedy. I'm laughing at it.
Yeah.
It doesn't my soul anymore because all of my soul. I am just numb and empty inside.
Aren't you always like that though?
That's my secret. I'm always
exactly.
Let's see. Aside from that, I don't know what I'm doing on Sunday afternoon with Stark of Iron and Snail Messiah, but we've been sticking kind of with the Fallout theme. I had to jump out of the last stream early this past Sunday, so I don't know exactly what we're doing, but we're probably going to go. He's been kind of doing like a Fallout edutainment, so I wouldn't be surprised if we started delving into kind of like the backstories of some of the followers and other things that you can get in those games. And then, of course, Mondays after the weekend, we kind of took a week off yesterday for this one, but I think we're going to be getting back on Monday with something 4th of July themed. I don't know exactly what we settled on just yet. So Plus, you never know when I'm going to pop up anywhere else. Last week I was on with Samuel the Infamous on Saturday for Screaming into the Void. So anything that comes up throughout the week, if people want to know, they can follow me on X at Beard of Liberty.
Cool. And Shieldwall.
I'm going to be on Roman's show on Thursday, talking about the Acolyte. Yay! And then
Yahoo.
I guess whatever we got going on next Tuesday for this show. So.
Yep, X-Files, I think.
Oh, X-Files.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's the first of the first Tuesday of the month.
Yep.
And I might
Cool.
do something on the 4th. I'm not sure yet.
All right. Well, I'll let you know what my availability is for that.
Okay.
So, yep. Cool. All right.
Blair,
Yeah,
you got anything you want to? Yeah.
I've clocked over 300 hours playing Fallout 4.
Okay.
Done all the faction endings. Now I'm about ready to start going to Far Harbor. I don't stream that. I just play it.
Yeah.
But I got nothing coming up. So yeah, I'll be around Roman's show eventually when he starts reviewing that garbage. So
yeah, I imagine that when we're done
That's
with
right. That's what I will be doing.
this season, that he's probably going to have to do at least a couple weeks of something fun that we enjoy.
yeah,
So maybe we'll see you there for that.
yeah.
Have you been watching
Yeah.
House of the Dragon at all?
I haven't. I'm going to once another episode comes out. I want to like binge it up a little bit.
Right. Yeah, it's okay so far.
I'm looking forward to it though.
Yeah. Hopefully this next episode busts open with the dragon fights and stuff. So.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. The dragon fights. That's what everybody wants to see.
Decline and
Well,
fall
guys,
of the
thanks
Roman.
for coming on. Yeah.
Thank you
Well,
for
thanks,
having me,
guys,
Jacob.
for coming on. And yeah, man,
Yeah.
glad you could make it. And thanks to the chat for hanging with us, and thanks to all the info from Jay and Roman. And I hope everybody has a good week, and we will see y'all next time. Have a good one, everybody.
Later.
Bye.